What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. This time we're taking a look at Sherlock Holmes, The Game of Shadows, the sequel to Guy Ritchie's first Sherlock Holmes movie. Okay, so the overall plot line for this movie is this. Watson and Sherlock are trekking all across Europe in an attempt to stop Professor Moriarty from instigating World War One. That is the overall premise for Sherlock Holmes 2. Let's talk about it. I overall think Sherlock Holmes 2 is a great movie. I really enjoy this movie. I like it better than the first movie. However, I do have my issues and qualms with this movie, but other than that, I think this is a damn good sequel. So, I'm going to get my positives out of the way first. The cast in this movie is awesome, just like it was in that first movie. Robert Downey Jr. returns to the titular role of Sherlock Holmes, and just like he is in that first movie, he's just like he is in this movie. The wittiness and quirkiness that Robert Downey Jr. brings to this role is outstanding, and he fits the role of Sherlock Holmes like a glove. And in this movie, it is absolutely no different. No complaints with that. Jude Law returns as Watson, and just like Watson was in that first movie, again, he's just as good in this movie. The chemistry that Downey and Jude Law have is outstanding, and I like the story between these two. Watson, he's now married, which means he ain't gonna be palling around with Sherlock Holmes anymore. And Sherlock is a little kind of. He doesn't like the fact that Watson is being married and they're not going to pal around anymore. Pretty much Sherlock wants to do what he continues to do while Watson wants to grow more as a human being and as a person. So I actually like that dynamic, and it adds an extra layer to a relationship that I have already liked from that first movie, and it's expanded upon more in this movie, so I got zero complaints with that. This movie, once Rachel McAdams returns for this movie as Adler, this is my first gripe of the movie. She's killed off in the first 10 minutes, and I do not like that whatsoever. I like the sexual tension and the romance that was building between Holmes and Adler, and I thought we were going to get more of that in this movie, but this movie decides to do a twist and kill her off, which I did not like. I hated it. And I think Rachel McAdams was criminally underutilized in this movie, and I thought her character got slapped in the face because of it. Mainly because we kill off the Adler characters. That way we can bring in this character called Sim, played by Naomi Rapace, who's like a gypsy woman. And honestly, truthfully, I did not care. I do not care for Naomi Rapace as an actress. And I just did not care for her character whatsoever in this movie. She's pretty much just used as a plot device, so that way she can pinpoint her brother, who is pretty much Moriarty's agent. That is the entire usage of the character of Sim. She is just a plot device of a character. She brings nothing to the overall story. She develops no romantic entanglement with Sherlock. There's nothing to the character of Sim that makes her stand out or makes her interesting. And it's a shame that we had to kill off Adler. For the character of Sim, who is completely useless. That's my big gripe against this movie. I did not like that whatsoever. However, I do like the inclusion of Stephen Fry as Mycroft Holmes. I thought Stephen Fry was outstanding in this movie. I thought he was great. I love the chemistry that he has with Robert Downey Jr. as being the Holmes siblings, and I like the few scenes that he has with Watson. I thought they were very entertaining, bouncing off one another. I like the couple of scenes that Mycroft has with Watson's wife Mary, who's also in this movie. She played a big role in the first movie. She was a footnote in that. She has a little bit more to do in this, but still a footnote. But the character of Mary does appear in this movie. But her best moments is reacting to the oddballness of Mycroft. And again, I thought Stephen Fry was really, really good in the role as Mycroft Holmes. I thought he was actually really funny. I liked the dry, sarcastic sense of humor that he brought to the role. Enjoyed that immensely. Now, my favorite actor in this movie has got to be Gerard Harris as Professor Moriarty. He was outstanding as Professor Moriarty. The scenes with Harris and Downey, they're the best scenes in the entire movie. My two favorite scenes between these two is the torture scene and the scene at the end where they're playing chess. Beautifully directed, intense scenes, and these two act the hell out of these scenes. Like, Gerard Harris really goes into the role of Professor Moriarty and gives it his all, and he really makes the professor come across as this cunning, intimidating, yet just as smart of a villain as Holmes is as a hero. They work so well off one another. The dynamics are fantastic. I mean, I'm not too crazy about about Moriarty's endgame for starting World War One. I think that's just whatever. That's just to have the stakes get raised high. Personally speaking, I would have just had this movie be a cat and mouse game of Holmes Moriarty one upping one another in a race to see in the race to establish who is the superior intellect of the two. I think that would have been a much more better A plot for these two. But as it is in this film, I thought it was actually just it was executed to the best of Guy Ritchie's abilities to this plot, this more or less end of the world type of plot. Like, humans will be humans and always going to be war. Okay, I'll roll with it. For me, yeah. So, so yeah, those are my thoughts on the story and the cast. Now, from an overall production value, Guy Ritchie once again he returns to the director's chair, and just like he did in the first movie, I thought this movie was brilliantly directed. I like his use of slow motion shots. I think it's used effectively at the end during the chess scene between Moriarty and Holmes. That's where I thought the slow motion worked fabulously. The aesthetic of this movie is fantastic. He really, again, as he did in the first movie, he captures the period setting of gaslit London, of gaslit England, and just gaslit Europe. It looks fantastic. This movie does have CGI, and for the most part, it looks pretty good. I got no complaints on that whatsoever. So yeah, that's gonna pretty much wrap up my thoughts on Sherlock Holmes: A Game of Shadows. Overall, I'm gonna give it a solid 8 out of 10. I do like this movie. I think it's superior to the first movie. It does have things that I did not like, but it also made up for it with characters and things that I actually did like and I did adore. So yeah, 8 out of 10 for Sherlock Holmes 2. Let me know your thoughts in the comment sections down below. Like the video and subscribe, and I will check you back next time for more.